Hello, Fantastic Beasts fans! Some of the most exciting images we've seen released so far are of young Dumbledore and young Grindelwald in the Mirror of Erised. The latest, with them staring down at their hands, is particularly intriguing. But what can it mean? I'm Susan Chappell with Fantastic Secrets Behind Fantastic Beasts to bring you the clues. Join me and other Fantastic Beasts fans here on the Beast Chaser Forum as we uncover the secrets, discover what's coming first, and play along with Rowling's newest game. And make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you'll be notified when videos post and won't miss out on the next clues. In my last video, I presented a story from deep inside Grindelwald's point of view that centered on his relationship with Dumbledore. As a part of that theory, I believe that the pendant we've seen in some of the presentations and merchandising possibly contained a spirit Dumbledore and Grindelwald invoked together. But I was totally wrong about that. And in this video, Marie Fauquembergue is going to show us what it truly is. Before we begin, this video requires a special spoiler warning. Near the end, we're presenting information from a premiere in China. Some of you may not want to hear that part, since we're drawing from a screening event. I'll stop and give a brief warning before then, but there will be the normal spoilers even before then. 2 months ago, Marie at Honeydeer and I created a theory together exploring the nature of the relationship between Albus Dumbledore and Gellert Grindelwald as teens. As part of that video, we theorized that Albus and Gellert may have made an unbreakable vow. We also believed that this vow was what prevented Dumbledore from moving against Grindelwald, and that we would see it partly revealed in the amphitheater scene. Since that video released, Marie has continued to research Albus and Gellert's young relationship, as well as new images of runes and props associated with them. We'd planned to do a video on it a week ago, but were delayed until now. However, several days ago, Marie wrote a comprehensive theory about how this all related and posted it on Tumblr, which I've linked to in the description below. The reason I'm detailing all this is because the core of Marie's theory has already been confirmed in the Chinese screening. So what I'm about to show you, all the new stuff since our original theory on the Unbreakable Vow, is Marie's theory. All credit goes to her for hitting this one exactly right. First, Marie starts by analyzing the runes on Dumbledore's wand. They are Uruz, Gero, Ansuz, and Dagas. Uruz is a rune indicating primary force, beastly powers and freedom, brutal strength, but also control and domination. Marie notes it's a quality that can easily lead to an excess or extreme type of force, and says that in a relationship, it signifies a primary attraction between two people, almost a beast-like attraction, which is very intriguing when you link this to Dumbledore and Grindelwald. The next rune, Gera, symbolizes two eternal, opposing forces. In a relationship, it can indicate the tension between partners. Ansuz is the rune most associated with the Norse supreme god Odin. It's a rune of communication, inspiration, truth, and slow and yet certain ascension. Then finally, there's Dagas, which symbolizes balance between sky and earth, inner peace, and harmony. Putting these runes all together, they give us both insight into Dumbledore's youthful character as well as the relationship between him and Grindelwald. Jude Law has spoken in interviews as to how Dumbledore is fighting what he considers to be his own beastly nature. Yet we know he is ascending into a man whose flair for communication and search for truth inspires others. Near the end of his life, he seems to attain somewhat that balance and inner peace that he'll be struggling with in the Fantastic Beasts series to come. As teens, the relationship of Dumbledore and Grindelwald displays a primary attraction that may have included domination from Grindelwald, whereas adults, they developed into two eternal opposing forces. Marie also notes that the runes are in a way a bad omen, resulting from their blood pact, their arrogance, their brilliant minds, and also the fact that they were dazzled so much by each other made them blind to the impact of the meaning of these runes on their relationship. The next part of Marie's theory is truly fascinating. She links the runes associated with Grindelwald and Dumbledore to a hint of the vow they made as teens. Whereas in our earlier theory, we believed it was an unbreakable vow, we're now sure it was a blood pact. Very closely related, but with a twist. First, as many of you are probably aware, on the soundtrack for the film, there is a track named Blood Pact. It was revealed in a presentation by prop master Pierre Bohanna in Japan that Grindelwald had a pendant. Now that the pendant can be purchased from the Noble collection, we can see that the initials at the top are G and D. Marie believes that the pendant is a record between Grindelwald and Dumbledore of the blood pact they made as teens. In the prop and the Noble replica, you can see a swirl of the colors inside the pendant that bear a strong resemblance to yin and yang, two varying or complementary forces that unite to form a harmonious system. Marie believes that in the Mirror of Erised scenes with the young actors, we see a very clear image, and probably a memory, of the blood pact ritual being performed between Grindelwald and Dumbledore. In one, Albus and Gellert hold their hands touching on the mirror, and in the more recent one, they seem to be looking down. Marie believes they are looking at the blood on their hands from the ritual they have just performed. The music from the soundtrack, Blood Pact, would be playing during this scene. Then, for me and my love of mythology, this is where things get really interesting. As we stated earlier, the rune Ansuz is related to Odin, and in Nordic mythology, according to the Lokasena, a poem in the Poetic Edda, Odin and Loki made a blood pact together. They are blood brothers. In the poem, Loki says, "Remember, Odin, in the olden days, what blood brothers we were." Loki also said, "Remember you that Odin, it was we in days of old, blended our blood together." Loki is a trickster god, whereas Odin is the supreme deity. They are both good at manipulation. Loki is also good at transfiguration, and we saw how effective Grindelwald was at this in the first film. As a trickster god, Loki can never truly be trusted. He is sentenced to eternal punishment, imprisoned under guard by a serpent, just as we know Grindelwald will be imprisoned in Nurmengard. As for Odin, he's favored by the outcasts of society, and we've seen how Dumbledore offered protection to house elves, half-giants, and a werewolf professor. Odin is in charge of Valhalla, the afterworld, and Dumbledore, at various points in his life, possessed all three Deathly Hallows, and we saw him in a very curious scene at King's Cross in Deathly Hallows. Also, Odin sacrificed an eye for the acquisition of the wisdom of a rune. Dumbledore sacrificed his hand for a hallow. Marie says, Odin had promised that neither of them would drink with gods unless both of them were welcomed. When Loki is denied a seat with the gods, he reminds Odin of their oath. Odin, without any other choice, orders Vidar to find a seat for Loki. Perhaps Grindelwald will later in the FB saga remind Albus of the blood pact they made together in 1899. Finally, Marie believes that when Grindelwald proclaims that the old ways serve us no longer, he is not merely talking about the statute of secrecy, but is also declaring to his former friend and lover that the blood bond of their youth is no longer valid. They are from now on at war with each other. Marie believes that Rowling envisioned a blood pact between young Albus and Gellert rather than an unbreakable vow, because the blood pact is more personal, more about emotions, whereas the vow is more about a contract to ensure actions are carried out, perhaps due to lack of trust. After all, Snape formed one with Narcissa. As Marie says, the fact that these two people choose to share blood like ancient Norse gods and to connect to each other in that way is a demonstration of their brilliance and arrogance as teens. It also shows the high level of trust they had for each other. I think this is beautiful. Now, here is where the true spoiler break is. If you don't want to hear information out of a pre-screening, stop now. What is even more wonderful is that Marie's main theory has been confirmed by what is just now starting to leak out from the pre-screening out of China. It's been confirmed by those watching the 25 minutes of film shown
that Albus and Gellert do indeed form a blood pact, and that the pendant Grindelwald carries as an adult contains their blood. What has been reported is that young Albus and Gellert are shown slitting their hands and then putting their hands together. Their joined blood forms the pendant. To me, it seems a magical testament or bond to their pact. Returning to my last video on the intense relationship between Dumbledore and Grindelwald, I have one more thought I'd like to add. I wondered if the pendant contained a spirit the young men had invoked and contained, sealed under the initials of their name. This was based on the legend of King Solomon and the Jinn, which we've discussed in a couple of prior videos, where he contained Jinn in a brass vessel under his seal that he would release to do his bidding. Could the pendant, formed magically from the blood of Albus and Gellert, essentially contain their spirits? And if so, to what purpose? Would this pendant be broken in a dark magic ritual to symbolize a blood sacrifice? A blood sacrifice of the two most powerful wizards of their day. Thanks so much to Marie for sharing this theory with us. She put a tremendous amount of research and work into it.
So, what do you think? I'm assuming if you're here, you made it by the double spoiler warning. So I'm also curious, what are you going to do now that true spoilers are starting to leak? And how do you think I should approach them on this channel? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Also, please check out my new fan shop on Amazon for books and Funko Pops and wands and all things Fantastic Beasts.